Hi everybody, welcome to another video. Today is September 1st. We are officially in September, which is kind of the beginning of the end as far as I'm concerned. And there are a lot of final things happening this week. As you can see behind me, this is our greenhouse. This is where we start all of our seeds. And for a good portion of the year, this space is totally full of little starts to go out and be transplanted. And you've seen that in past videos if you go back and look. Pretty much from about April on, this place is just packed with seedlings. But as you can see, it's been diminishing over the last couple weeks, and now it is entirely empty. No more transplants. And the ground sowing out in the field, when we plant some things by seed, that is all done as well. So all of the crops that will last us through the fall are in the ground and growing. And now it's just a matter of tending to those crops and harvesting those crops. So pretty exciting to have this empty, but it's actually not going to stay empty for long, because today is the first big harvest of our storage crops. Well, actually the second. Earlier in the summer, you may remember, we harvested all the garlic, and the garlic is actually in those green crates that you can see in the back there. It's got some fans blowing on it, and it's just drying down before we store it. We need it to be completely dry so that there's no mold or funguses growing on the paper skins in that wetness. So they've been drying for several weeks now, and we really just want to make sure they're 100% dry before we take them down into the basement. But today we are also harvesting our storage onions. So storage onions have been in the ground for a long time. They've grown all the way up, and they are ready to come out. And this week, today, we're harvesting those and going to bring them in here also to dry down. So we have that nice crispy papery skin that you see on the outside of storage onions. That papery skin is what allows it to store really well, but we need that to be entirely dry. Just like the garlic, it has to be completely dry before we put it into storage in the basement. So that's the big project that's going on today. It's a really important crop for us. We personally like to have storage onions all the way through the winter, and hopefully in years to come we will be able to provide storage onions for all of our members throughout the winter too. That is kind of the long-term vision, is to have a full diet and year-round food for people. But it takes a lot of years to work out all the details and be able to do that in the scale. But greenhouse is empty for now. It'll be filling up with drying onions in the next couple days, and that's an exciting new project. This week also marks when our first worker leaves. Jerry English, who has been here, he's been working primarily with the animals, but helping out with almost everything. He is leaving this week, and so we are saying goodbye to him, the first of our workers to go, and all of those things kind of signal the downhill slope. But I do want to remind all the members out there that our CSA does go into the fall quite a bit. This is a big transition time. A lot of people are going back to school, their schedules are changing up, everything's shifting for a lot of people, but we want to remind you that we are still growing food, and we will still be delivering food to you for many more weeks into late October. It is somewhat weather dependent on when we actually finish the season, but we are hoping to make it all the way till the end of October. So just because we're going back to school and your life is changing, don't forget CSA is still going. You will still be getting a box of food every week for quite a while yet. So yeah, don't forget about it. Let's go walk around the garden, see everybody harvesting the onions, see what's going on out in the garden. Everything still looks really beautiful. It's still pretty warm during the days now. I think today is going to get all the way up to 88, so plenty of warm, growing weather, lots of crops still growing in the garden, and we're really pleased with how they're doing. So yeah, lots of food still coming out of the garden. Let's go see that onion harvest. So here's the crew harvesting onions. We've got a couple 100 feet of storage onions all through this area. As you can see, the tops have all fallen down, which means they are done, and the necks are kind of kinked there. No more life in the stems, and they're preparing for storage down there. So we're just pulling them off, clipping off the tops just like we did with garlic, and then collecting them in crates. Whoop. And then taking them over to the greenhouse over there to continue to dry down. But it's just a slow, long process of pulling them out of the ground, cutting off the tops, crating them up, and carrying them over there. And then we'll have 300 plus feet of storage onions. And as you can see, they're planted pretty densely in here. So that's going to be a lot of onions when they're all out of the ground. Here are some of the last planted spinach plants just coming up in this bed. A whole long bed of it. And here's some of the previous plantings. Not quite up to size yet, but getting bigger. There's a lot of these little beds of greens throughout the garden now, because these crops have to last us till the end. So they all become mature just as the cold weather sets in, and then we harvest from them for weeks and weeks and weeks. And there's not a lot of regrowth on most of them because it'll be too cold by the time we're harvesting from them, but all these greens have to last us for many, many weeks in the late part of the season. Lots more onions, cabbage, cool weather things, but it is still warm out and we still have a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers growing. These plants are looking really good, healthy all the way up to the tops. As you can see, the stem goes way back and into the ground over there. We've been pruning off the bottom leaves and then lowering and leaning these plants. So there's a lot of growth on the top, still flowering up at the top and ripening down at the bottom. But we're getting a lot of fruit off these plants still, and that's good. And as long as the weather holds, we will continue to get a lot of fruit off these. We actually planted a little bit less tomatoes this year than last year as far as number of plants go, but we have far more tomatoes than we've had in past years. So that's just a testament to how caring for the soil and improving the soil and the health of the plants increases the production and the harvest, even with less plants growing overall. So it's pretty cool to see that improvement. We work really hard on these tomatoes and they're doing great. So that's it for today. I just wanted to show you the onion harvest that's coming in and show you a little bit of what's happening in the garden today, but slightly shorter video this week as we're still pretty busy and got a lot going on around here. As you can see, there's still a ton of flowers in the garden. You saw the tomatoes, things are still ripening and there's a lot of harvest yet to come, but we are finishing some things. No more planting, some of the workers are going home. It is definitely a transition from summer into the first days of fall. Still beautiful weather and a lot to enjoy here on the farm. We hope you're enjoying the food and feeling nourished by it. And we really, really thank you for supporting us, for watching the videos, for caring where your food's coming from, wanting to know what goes into it, and wanting to be connected to the soil and the farm that grows your food. We really love to grow nourishing food for you and to know you personally, and we are thankful for that opportunity to do that work. So thank you for supporting us, and we hope you will continue to support us into the fall and even through the winter, as we will have meat and eggs and maybe even some storage crops to deliver during that colder time of the year. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the video next week. Today is September 1st, which means it's September 1st.